to another episode of the TFR podcast. We are back today to review the opening round of the 2026 F1 World Championship. We had our first race in Australia, and I think I can say it delivered. It was a lot of kind of mix of hype and, anticipation and a bit of doubt as well, chucked in the mix after a bit of an iffy qualifying session, which was dominated by George Russell and Mercedes. And then we had the same kind of story in the race, but with a different process of getting to that end result, where George Russell did win the race from Kimi Antonelli, but we had an almighty scrap at the beginning of the race between Russell and the Ferraris. I'm joined by GP on the podcast today to review all the action from Melbourne. How you doing, GP? And did you enjoy the opening round of the season?
I kind of wasn't, because I do realize there's a lot of overtaking happening in the race. Like, this is what they promised, which is kind of good, but everything is very, very messy, very artificial for me. So yeah, it's not like people really pushing. Just like all the close in a race, they were like Mario Karts with like putting mushrooms on it, and yeah, so everyone just charging, recharging. So every overtaking and being overtaken is very, very artificial. So that's what I'm not like to see in Formula One. I think that's not the way forward. Yeah.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about the whole artificialness of these new F1 regulations, and yeah, it was Charles Leclerc who made the big Mario Kart comparison. I mean, some of the other drivers have also said it, obviously Verstappen, and I think Sergio Perez as well said it was this video game race that he had coming up when he was on the grid. But Charles Leclerc, yeah, did say that mushroom comparison with the whole boost and overtake button that you get on the car now. But I can't lie, JP, I actually enjoyed it. I actually thought, like, you know what? How good is it to see two cars going at it, racing each other hard? Okay, yeah, in a bit of a different way. And it might take some getting used to, but I don't know. I kind of liked it. I kind of liked the, back and forth battling we had at Albert Park, where someone could get in front of the other car and they have to really get their elbows out to keep hold that position. I mean, I feel like we've watched so many times over the years where someone will make an overtake and they just disappear off into the distance and you don't see them again because they've got the tire advantage and they've got the car advantage and nobody can do anything to stop them. When now we have this element, yes, there's big pace gaps between each car and team at the minute, and that may be what's causing a lot of the issues, but you had George Russell there struggling to get past Leclerc. Despite having the faster car, by the way, he just could not get past Leclerc at the start because Leclerc kept coming back at him every single time. Do you not think that that is quite an exciting thing, potentially?
I will say that's exciting though. Like, I'm not saying the racing itself is bad. I think the issue is it's not really representing Formula One. Like the racing itself is good. Like, I'm totally fine with it, but it should be something else rather than Formula One. If you said this is, maybe you call it Formula Hybrid, you call it Formula E, you call it whatever else, like, it will be fantastic. Because but it's Formula One. That's the issue here. So Formula One, people expecting drivers to, like, you don't need to do like a deceleration 16 kph on straight while you're going full throttle. People don't expect that in Formula One. So yeah, racing itself is good, but it just isn't Formula One enough, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. For the purists, this isn't what we know, and it's kind of going into unknown territory here where this new regulations aren't what we've always kind of had of the past, where I kept seeing there was a video from 2010, I think it was, Australia, where it was Sebastian Vettel when he put it on pole in those super kind of agile, kind of planted V8 F1 cars where they were so nimble and a lot slower, by the way, than today's kind of cars, but they just look alive and on the edge, and they're absolutely braking super late, really committing to every single corner. And that's, I think, one big issue here that everybody's been talking about, GP, of qualifying. You've got drivers doing Lyco into corners. You've got, drivers lifting and, charging the battery here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah, short shifting, you know, what's it, super clipping? Is it super
Super
clipping? Is
quick.
that the word?
Yeah.
Yeah, super clipping to
Yeah.
charge the battery up. I mean, is this all a bit too much? Is this going too far in this management direction, and we're losing the almost, the bones of what F1 is and what it's, truly about?
Yeah. I'm like at tuning on Saturday. I have to say I'm completely disappointed by the whole situation. Like I expect clipping. Like we even get clipping like before, like 2021, 2020. It's
Yeah.
like it's not a new thing, but the way it's clipping is ridiculous. Like you basically have to guess your breaking point now because you don't get a constant speed that you know. So you basically just guess it. So no one is really pushing to the limits, even on the Q3, even on the last lap, even on the freshest tire, on the best track condition. No one is really doing what they like, and yeah, it's just not great, and it doesn't even sound great. Even I think that's the bigger issue because you don't necessarily can see the speed, but you can definitely hear it. Like that's why F1 like you can see the on X on YouTube F1 is like show not showing the clips of people doing clipping stuff
Yeah, yeah.
and because they just cut out the audio because it's so bad like it does not it's not like people really decelerating by themselves. It's just cars don't have that potential, so why you do that in the first place? So yeah.
That's the point. It's kind of, I think there's this, they need to strike the right balance here of, I think, like, I actually don't mind it in terms of the racing. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the first 20 odd laps of that race on Sunday where, yeah, there was multiple position changes up and down the order, really. I mean, forget the lead. We had a good battle between Gasly and Ocon, and we had Liam Lawson and Perez, which we'll get on to all of that later on. But I think we saw in the latter stages of the race, things started to peter out, and we didn't really have, those battles going on anymore. And that's the fear, is that maybe we just had it almost too good at the beginning, and that wasn't really showing what we're actually going to have here. But yeah, the qualifyings, they're not good. They're not good at all at the minute. And I really think that is going against what F1 is, of like drivers pushing as hard as they can to, get the fastest lap time possible, which I guess they are still pushing, but it's just not. I think onboards have been killed by these new regs. I mean, you can't almost watch the cars on board now, can you? Because it's almost painful, isn't it, to listen to?
Yeah, the way driver drive the car is basically the same because you got two pedals, a wheel, you turn a wheel. That's it. That's basically the same. The problem is the way the car moves and the car sounds. Like V6 is already a downplay on the old nimble, maybe less power V8s, but the way it sounds is just not exciting. Even and now you're telling me you're getting Z sounds. Yeah, like the volume is going down on a straight, or people near the track can't even tell you on out lap or push lap. That's ridiculous. That that doesn't make the sport more exciting. Like I know it's an innovation, but you are gonna lose mass audience because of this, because it's just not exciting anymore. And if a sport loses mass audience, like it doesn't mean anything anymore. I think like it's a pretty harsh comment, I would say, but it is what it is. Yeah.
It's interesting. I really do feel there's a bit of a split of opinion with it, and that'll really get tested with China coming up this weekend, because China has had some iffy races over the years, particularly in the ground effect era. There was some more poorer quality races when that track returned, and yes, we had some good races there in the 2010s, but it was a different time. So I think like it'll be a good test, particularly with Dirty Air as well, this weekend to see are we going to have a better race this time compared to the previous years with these new generation of cars. Again, also a very different circuit. We're going to be learning a lot of this season with the way the battery works and the kind of charging up and where you deploy it in a lap is going to be so different now at every single track because they were saying Australia is one of the worst circuits for the battery and the kind of energy recovery. And that's kind of why we saw a lot of this super clipping halfway down a straight almost. And really kind of, yeah, a lot of management in the race. When China does have quite a few corners, you think the first corner and that first sector is quite a bit of low speed there. The middle sector as well, it's got a few heavy braking points, and obviously you've got the hairpin at the end of the back straight. But I think the fear is here, coming up in the next race,
The back straight, yeah.
it's the back straight. The back straight is so long
It,
that are we going to see like the kind of cars slowing down like halfway down the straight, like, and they're having a downshift before they even get to the breaking point? What do you think?
like at this rate right now, we're gonna see people start slowing down like 400 or 500 meters before the breaking. It's ridiculous. Like the whole. I remember the back straight was 1.4 kilometers
Right,
long.
yeah.
If that's accurate, but it's ridiculous. Like you got like I know like you do like in a race, that's normal, but it's a quali lap. It's a last lap. Everyone should push it. It's the point. If it's not everyone pushing it to absolute limit, it's not F1 anymore. That's the whole issue right here. And people like large audience. I remember is on China circuit is like on the back straights and the main straights. The main
James,
straight
yeah.
is kind of okay. It's not really that long because, but the back straight like people were like, is he on L lap or on push lap or he's on in lap? Like nobody knows. Like people are just guessing right now. So it's bad. It's just bad.
It's going to be a bit of a mystery. And we've also got a sprint race this weekend as well. So there'll be another kind of chaotic dive straight into these new regs. Because, I mean, of course they decided to put a sprint race at the second race of the season when half of the teams have got hardly any parts. Everybody's so ill prepared. Oh, yeah, let's just put a sprint race in there just to spice it up. And, like, I think the sprint race could be absolutely crazy. Because if you think about Australia and how the first part of that race was with the race starts, we could have a pretty unpredictable sprint if nobody's able to sort out those race starts. But again, we'll get into that. But kind of bringing it back to Australia, and we'll kind of work our way through some of the results here and the teams and who we think did good and who we did bad at Albert Park. But we'll start off with the race winners. Mercedes, George Russell winning down under for the first time in his career, and he now leads the championship, obviously, after this being the first race and him scoring maximum points. He leads the championship for the first time ever for himself. What did you think of George's weekend, and was this just perfected to the max all the way through GP, or was there an opportunity of he could have lost this race? What did you make of his weekend as a whole?
Honestly, my first question is why doesn't one of the Ferraris box with George in the WSC, which is kind of weird because you don't put two eggs in one basket, right? Like in Formula One, like we're seeing 2016 Spain, we see that multiple times. Like you got to follow one car in, which is weird, very weird for Ferrari to do that. But at the same time, Mercedes can do the lap times same as Ferrari. They're still at the end of the race on like what 20 laps all the ties, which kind of shows how good their car is. Which basically the race is done at that point. Like we saw that gap and we saw the time. At the first glance, I saw George's tires. So maybe Ferrari had a chance, but the deficit, like the the gap just doesn't close down. Like Ferrari just not fast enough, and it's very weird for George saying that you guys are quick to Leclerc, which is kind of weird since they are nearly a second lap quicker in quality and can do the same lap time as them with 20 laps all the size. So yeah, Mercedes definitely has the upper hand now, and before the ratio stuff or the software stuff get solved, I don't think there's any much solution for other teams to be done. Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. It does seem at the moment that we have got a bit of a two-way fight. It's interesting you pick up on that comment made by George Charles in the kind of post-race debrief, if you like, in that cool-down room, where, yeah, George, I think, has the potential here to become the driver that everyone hates a little bit. You know, like when Vettel was winning at Red Bull to begin with, and there's kind of loads of other drivers as well that you can use as an example of where they get their taste for success and, you know, being the top dog at the front. And then they kind of just, it changes them a little bit. And I think George, obviously, you know, it's the first race of the season, but he knows this is his big chance to win the championship now. Same thing for Leclerc as well, by the way. If Ferrari are in the mix, and supposedly and apparently some teams saying that they are the quickest in the corners, quicker than the Mercedes even, which is quite the statement to make. I think for both George and Charles, this is their first real proper chance. Verstappen doesn't look like he's in the mix right now. Red Bull have quite a bit of catching up to do if they're gonna, claw that gap back. The Mercedes and the Ferrari are well clear of the rest. So for George and Charles, they've waited so long for this opportunity. They both have to have the absolute most ruthless of seasons here, where there's no quarter given. And I just found that quite interesting, that post-race chat between them two, because Charles got a little bit irked by that, I think. He was a little bit annoyed that George was saying, you know, like, oh yeah, we were fairly close. Because I do think Ferrari missed the opportunity, GP. I think that, like, with them pitting under that VSC, they could have been right there. I still don't think they would have won the race, but particularly for Charles, he would have been in the mix, and that battle could have resumed.
Yeah, I will agree on your point on this because I don't necessarily think they'll pit Leclerc because Leclerc is, I think Ferrari's plan A is what they did in the race, which is pit like around the midway of the race and go for medium hards. But why not boxing Lewis? Because he's the last thing in that train at that point. Why not try something else? It's really weird. Like, but in the end, Ferrari's not going to win anyway because the gaps, hard size is just too much. Like, I honestly don't see. I honestly don't see if either Lewis or Charles can keep up with that. But yeah, but I do think he might have a shot battling with Kimi because Kimi had to be honest, quite a poor executed weekend. So yeah, I will
But
say Ferrari may lose a potential P2. So yeah,
but Kimi did get the result, and that's, I think, the main thing is he had his
yeah,
big shunt in FP3, loads of damage on the car. Great job by Mercedes getting that fixed. Obviously helped by Verstappen's crash in qualifying, but they got the car fixed, got it back out, and then he was able to put it on the front row, and then had a poor start to the race. There's no doubt about it, but still recovered, got that second place, and in the end, GP, he was only 3 seconds off the lead come the end of the race. I know, like, he was no threat to George, and he wasn't anywhere near taking that lead, but you know what? Fair play. He there was times last season where if he had that crash in FP3, he would just lose all of his kind of weekend pretty much, and he would just not have the confidence. But I don't think Kimi will beat George this season in the championship, but I think, like, he's definitely improving at quite a rate of knots at the minute.
um, I think the good thing for Kimi today is he only lose 8 points. That's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
even though what happened in the weekend, he like dropped like really by Mercedes standards pretty poor to be honest. He was nearly half a second of his teammate in the quali, so that's bad. That's really bad. But the thing is, he only lose 8 points, even when George did basically his best. So the thing is about is before Mercedes, before other things like at least before June 1st, because that's the when the ratio thing swapped, because you have to do I don't know 16-1 or 18-1 at that point. Before that, I don't think Kimi. I think Kimi, if he doesn't lose too much on George, he still can get this championship fight done. Also, because you see, last season, Lando doesn't lead all the way. It's Oscar who leads all the way. He
Yeah,
might
yeah.
even bottle out. So yeah, you never know. So he still have a shot in it. So yeah, just 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 do it better. Like I do think he can execute it better and do what he can. Yeah, and I honestly think Kimi have a bigger shot in the championship than George.
Oh, come on, GP. Come on
I'm
now.
still saying that. I'm still saying
Show
that
some
because
respect to the new championship leader.
remember I said that in Dutch last season, that Lando is still gonna win the championship. I said that, right?
Yes, yes. But
So yeah,
as we're joined by somebody on the screen, someone's hopping into the podcast at the last
uh,
second here.
uh,
It's Lo. Well, welcome to the pod. A debut then on the podcast for MoSolver. Hello, welcome.
Hello.
So we're just discussing at the minute. You've just joined actually, whilst we've just had a bit of a hot take. I'm calling it out right now. A bit of a hot take from GP there, saying that Kimi Antonelli has got more chance of the championship this season than George Russell. What do you make of that?
Well, I definitely think Kimi Antonelli can definitely prove this season that he's a top driver. But just as we saw in practice 2, or no, practice 3, he still is vulnerable to mistakes. So and Russell is more consistent than Antonelli. So I think on raw pace he can definitely match or beat Russell. But I think Russell will be more consistent this season because he has more
Interesting.
experience.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I agree with that. I think Kimi's still a bit too early in his years of F1 to. I think there's, like what we saw with Piastri last season, there's elements to a championship that you can't really prepare for until you're actually in one and a proper kind of fight with other drivers that are of your level. And I think for Kimi, like that FP3 crash, there'll be more of that this season. And I don't expect that from George. And I think that will prove to be the big difference, in my opinion. But I think for George, he'll be more concerned about the Ferraris, that they are actually there or thereabouts for part of that race.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, definitely in the beginning, Charles was playing very smart with the ERS. He kept when George deployed his ERS, Charles deployed it after him so he could re-overtake him and then charge up again. And every time George tried to overtake him, Charles was always with a second backup plan to be ahead. But then when the virtual safety car came out, one of them should have at least pitted. At least one of them. Doesn't matter who, just one of them. Because if you put both first on the same strategy, then it's useless, because you have to make up such a big of a gap while the tires are not that uh, different, even though they are much older.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I think Ferrari really screwed their only chance by staying out, but with both drivers.
Yeah, that was the opportunity. That was the opportunity that if they were
Yeah.
on the ball there, particularly the first one, I know like they could have gambled like they probably did on another safety car because we knew that there was more cars that were going to retire from that race, and it was one of those unique races where you kind of would expect an Aston Martin or someone to just pull up on the circuit, which actually didn't happen in the end. It was other teams that were having those struggles, and I just felt like they weren't quite ready for it. I mean, once they'd missed the first VSC, they should have been absolutely, get the pit crew with the tires in their hands, ready to go as soon as there's another VSC. get them cars in. And obviously it came at a bit of an unlucky time, but the Ferraris did obviously miss that second opportunity, which potentially cost them a chance of winning the race. Obviously, they didn't have the pace in the end to catch up to the Mercs, but we'll never know what could have happened. But I'll go to you now though, MoSolver, about Max Verstappen. As a Dutchie yourself, and this is what I mean with the TFR podcast, we have basically a revolving door here of new guests on this podcast each time. Like, we didn't even plan this, and you've just hopped in here at the perfect time. What did you make of Verstappen's first race of this season with, the kind of Red Bull Ford engine? Obviously, he had a bad qualifying with that kind of crash that wasn't his fault, but what about his recovery in the race?
I think his recovery was a big step to future progress. Red Bull definitely came to this race with knowing they're not going to be the best team, which was shown in the race because Merck and Ferrari were in a league of their own. But honestly, the Red Bull is definitely close to the McLaren for P3, the third best car, and the Red Bull could have easily overtaken all those other cars on the straight. It really showed the battery deployment from the Red Bull was definitely good, but that's also what was a bit of the problem most of the race, because when Matt closed up to Lando, he reported on the radio that his ERS didn't deploy, so he couldn't actually overtake Lando when he was close, and that lost him the P5 eventually. And also at the start, before the race even began, Max already complained on the radio that his battery was almost empty, so he had no ERS at the start. So I think Red Bull can get to China with at least a good, idea what they can do to improve the car for the incoming races.
Interesting. GP, do you think Red Bull are ahead of McLaren right now?
Depends on track, to be honest.
Oh, come on. Give me a yes or no.
Yeah.
No mucking around. Come on. Let's put your neck on the line.
I will say no. I will say no.
Okay.
Red Bull is currently just the fourth fastest car now.
I
know, like Hadjar did a P3 in quali, and Lando basically bottled the whole. I will say Lando didn't bottle because he got hit by, I think, Kimi's some kind of. He didn't drive in FP1. His battery is not working in FP2, and he only did a one quali sim, like one lap in FP3, which he has no idea how to use the battery, and the McLaren has forced him to do a race sim. So it's just like a back weekend for him, and he still finished P5. So it was, and yeah, I think this is definitely not the true pace of McLaren. They are definitely way faster than that. But the thing is that Max is a way better driver than Lando. That's for sure. Like, there's not even debate for that. But Red Bull is a new manufacturer at this point, or a new engine manufacturer.
Yes.
Like stuff should be broken at this point. If stuff doesn't broken at the point, it's broken at more crucial points in the season, it will get worse. I'd rather things just get broken in the first few, and we know where to move on. After this, it will be better. So yeah, I won't say they will be necessarily be faster than McLaren next race, or even in few races after. Maybe the things to Saudi and the Bahrain will be cancelled, but yeah, it will be a tough job for Red Bull this season, and to be honest, I think they're already out of the championship at this point.
Oh, come on, GP.
Well,
we've had one race. Let's hold it back a minute. Just hold it back a minute. We've had one race. We never know.
Can I reply to that?
Yeah.
I think we couldn't. And GVK is sort of right, because also Piastri didn't actually start the race, and he was in front of Lando in quali. So, and I think Piastri was the faster one this whole weekend. As you saw in the practice session, he easily got the lap together, and also was way quicker than Lando. But I don't know why he crashed, but I definitely think if Piastri was in the race, that he could have been closer to Ferrari and Merc. But and also about Red Bull, we definitely saw the Red Bull is definitely a very quick car. Like Hatchar pulled away from Lando
Yeah.
after the start, even with the problems. So you Lando had a bad weekend this week or last week, I should say. So I think it's very close between those two. But Max definitely showed, even though they are equal, Max still could close up to Lando. So I think it will be very interesting when Red Bull eventually discovers the weak points of this car and start to improve it to actually be at the front, because they're, like GVK said, that they got a partnership with Ford, so they have to build their own engine. Sorry, my Dutch language.
No worries.
But yeah, I think for a new manufacturer with Ford, it's actually a very decent start to actually see what the weak points are of the car and the deployment, so they can improve it over the course of the season. And if maybe they're not going to be in the championship hunt for this season, but they definitely can be in championship hunt for next season when they know the bad stuff of the car, and I'll improve it for next season.
I think, like, at the end of the day, call me crazy here, but I think any team that have got their own engine and, are that kind of works team, they have all sorts of opportunities this season. I think it's so up in the air with some, of these teams, because they can develop the engine. They can develop, so much more than what other teams that are, McLaren have already complained about this. Andrea Stella complained on Monday that they are on a massive back foot compared to Mercedes, because Mercedes have all that information. They've got the first kind of dibs on the information as well of any future development and improvements to the engine, and that's just a huge advantage. And I do think for Red Bull that will pay them, big benefits compared to the likes of McLaren, where yes, that Ford engine, it's maybe not the best. Well, there is no maybe on that. It's definitely not the best of the grid at the minute. But the potential is there. They can improve that, and it's a long season. We've had one race here, and there's multiple opportunities for them. If they can find that sweet spot where they can find another loophole that other teams haven't found, I wouldn't rule them out. I still think there's a chance with Verstappen in that car that they can manage to claw something back. A word on Hadjar, though, JP, on his kind of first Red Bull weekend. Obviously, he was very unlucky with that early DNF, and this is the thing that we're going to have to get used to this season, is DNFs and retirements becoming more of a thing in F1 again, of that kind of unlucky element of the sport. But I thought he did really well. To qualify third, and the way that second Red Bull seat has been, I know, again, it's only one race, but I thought that was a pretty good start, and all he could have done to his Red Bull career.
Mm,
Come
I would
on.
say, yeah, like obviously it's not like what happened before with Lawson, with
Oh,
UK,
it's
with
night and day better.
Gasly, with
Not
yeah,
even
it's
close.
already
Even
yeah,
close.
it's not even close. But what I'm afraid is that, remember Albon when he went back in when he went to Red Bull first in 2019. It was second half season. I remember he did score way less points than Max, to be honest. I remember Max scored like 19 points or something like that, while he scored 17, 16, something like that. I can't remember the exact number, but it was not far away, not that far away, because obviously I remember in Spa he started way back, but he still climbed back to around P5, and Max got taken out by Shao in Japan, but it was all looking good at that point. Like he was not looking bad, but comes to 2020, like everything just doesn't click right. What I'm afraid is when Max start to upgrade this car, how well Hadjar adapts to it. Because we know Max is a very strong driver, and he has a very, very good driving habit, which makes engineer is able to develop the car in his habit easier than any other driver. So the point is, at that point, how well Haja adapts. So it's a question we still need to be answered. So yeah, it's like Checo is same pace as Max as in the start of 2022, right? So
That's true.
you
That
never
was
know.
yeah.
Quality man.
But let's give him his
Yeah, I mean,
praise. Let's give him his praise whilst it's
yeah,
here.
but
You know.
yeah, well, it's here. Yeah, yeah, he did a good job. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. We got there. We got there. But I think the point is, like, until, let's be real, he's not going to beat Verstappen this season in the championship. That would be the shock of all shocks if Hadjar can go in there straight from the bat and beat Verstappen. It's not going to happen. Forget it. But all he can do is like what he did in qualifying. There's no way he was going to beat the Mercedes, but he was ahead of the Ferraris. And I think that was a very, very good effort from him. And you know what? He might need to be driving like that because there was a certain other Red Bull connected driver down at VCarb, Arvid Lindblad, making his debut in Melbourne. And what a drive it was. Without kind of getting too overhyped and being British as well, I do quite like to see a good, British rookie on the grid once again. However, I thought, Mo, that was a great start to his career, considering he's only 18, 19, one of the two.
Yeah.
I think he couldn't have asked for more. I mean, what a start as well, by the way. He was running in third place at one point.
He definitely showed he's a bit of an aggressive guy. Like
Yeah.
also with the definitely showed he has some big balls to show. Hey, even though I'm new here, I can still do this shit to you. But I definitely think Lindblad can definitely look into this race and think that was a good debut because Lawson, yeah, where was Lawson? He was like P14.
Yeah, he was.
Had a bad start, but that's also new. This new regulation made it crucial that the turbo is also rolling enough to actually get up the line, and Lindblad got that actually pretty well because he had the best start by far from everyone. And when he also Max came on his rear, he defended. He didn't give any balls that it was the bigger team. He said, "Hey, even though I'm your sis team, you don't get past me that easily." So I actually liked that Limit actually showed that he's not here to be the back marker, but he's actually here to win someday. But yeah, it's only his first race. It was also with Logan Sargent in Bahrain 2023. He was close to ending, but in the course of the season, he dropped back. So I think it's too early to decide that Lindblad will be this strong this whole season because Lawson isn't a bad driver at all, and yeah, it's still the first race. So I need to see more of him in the course of the whole season, and then can I decide if he really is a future Rebel driver.
Yeah, I think that's the
But
thing. You can't take too much from the first races of the season because I remember when Charles Leclerc came onto the grid. I think Marcus Ericsson beat him in the first three races of the season. And like Marcus Ericsson, with no disrespect to the Swedish former driver, he has certainly not had the same level of career as Charles Leclerc in the end. So yeah, we'll take it with a pinch of salt, but a great start, shall I say, for Arvid. And I really liked the way he spoke actually after the race. He was very confident and spoke really well in all the interviews. When a driver kind of coming in like that and a bit under the radar, I feel, because there's been so much talk about everything else with F1 at the minute. No one's really been thinking about, the new rookie on the grid, and especially last year, we had so many. I think Lindblad's gone a bit under the radar, and then he rocked up to this race and was just on it from the get-go. And, I mean, for his sake, fingers crossed it continues like that, because that was a great start and a car that I didn't necessarily expect to be that high up for that part of the race. But a driver, though, that had an awful start to the season, which we haven't actually spoke about yet, and it was heartbreak for the home fans, was obviously Oscar Piastri. On his way to the grid, not even the formation lap, just on his way to the grid about half an hour before the start of the race, he did indeed bin the car. I think it was coming out of turn 4, I think the particular corner, and completely lit up the rears. I think, in my opinion, it was quite unlucky. I think he got caught out with the power of these cars, and the car just went, and there was no saving it at all. But he was out, damage to the front and the rear of the car, and was obviously distraught, and all the fans there were absolutely in shock, as everyone was. What did you make of it, GP? And was that unlucky or a driver error?
Honestly, for me, that's a driver error. Like people always expect the bumping turn four. Like we saw it. We saw it before. We saw it 2023 in pre-practice. I think Max also did that. We saw that someone did that in F1 eSports. I think I can't remember. It was like a very long time ago. So it was like a predictable stuff to happen because the bumping turn four is that curve is really high and it drops straight down. There's no like a connection between it. So and also don't get really why you really need to push that hard on basically an installation lap.
Yeah.
I honestly don't get it. When he was literally putting Lando Norris looking like amateurs whole weekend, to be honest. Like
Wow.
he literally, well, but I know it's a bit dramatic, but it is
Amateur.
like that. He is faster than him. I think in FP1, FP2, FP3, and the quality session. So it was a good chance for him to like reinstate his position in the team, but he basically just dropped it. So it was pretty disappointing for him, to be honest.
I think that's an understatement. It was absolutely terrible for him in the end. You know, especially the first race of the season, Mo. Like crashing out at your home race, and you've not even got to the start. I mean, I couldn't believe it when it happened. I mean, what did you think of it?
Well, actually, it was funny. I didn't even realize information that he was out. I only realized it when I saw one McLaren starting the race.
No way.
Then I watched it back, and then I saw the actual news that he crashed. And I looked at his onboard, and I was thinking, why was he pushing? There's no need to push. I mean, you're gonna stand on the grid for like half an hour, dude. Your tires aren't warm at all at that moment. So what's the need to push at that moment? Just take it easy. Bring the car to the grid and then on the formation lap, then warm the tires. But as GVK said, turn 4 and 3 is a risky corner with the curb. Also in the game, it's easy to spin out on that corner if you get a bit too high on the curb. So it was just a stupid mistake. I don't understand why he tried to push his car that much while it wasn't even part of the race.
Do you think maybe, Mo, there's this element of the new cars though? So like what they talked about a little bit is, you know, the way you apply the throttle now is obviously if you're not full throttle, you're charging the battery, and maybe, as it might be an excuse here, but he's been caught out because, you know, he did have a bit of recharge issues, and he was on the radio about it when he came out the pit lane, and then because the car was going very slow, and again it was obviously on cold tires as well. But then he's gone to put his foot down more, and he's got full 100% battery in the car, you know, and full charge. And maybe as that maybe caught him out. You know, the difference with these cars that you've got that element of you've got so much extra horsepower all of a sudden, and he's just simply being caught out by it.
Yeah, that could be true, but McLaren didn't really reply to why he crashed. So it's still a bit of a guess, but I mostly think that Piastri pushed too hard on that lap. It wasn't necessary. It costed McLaren a possible chance of the podium, maybe if he had a good start. But you know, it's also when with these new cars, also why with Max, is the way of how the battery works is just very dependent on the software because as Red Bull replied to the crash of Max, it was a software problem that made that when he braked, it charged up too heavily, so the rear tires locked. So this car is mostly how do you say that? The car is mostly part with the software. If the software is not good, then the car will also not behave like it should
Yeah,
be.
it's unpredictable.
Yeah, very unpredictable, and I think also dangerous. As with the turbos, I know that FIA will have a new rule that you can spin up the turbo before the lights go out, but as you saw with Lawson, his car stalled on the
Yeah,
grid, and Colton was so incredibly lucky to avoid that
incredible.
because these cars really need to have a bigger combustion engine on their own instead of the whole half battery, half engine, because it it will ruin the starts most likely, and even cause a big crash one time when more cars will stall on the grid.
Well, there's the thing. It's an interesting debate, that one, because yes, the danger is the safety of the drivers at the start. That's definitely going to be now a little bit more sketchy, let's say. And we, like you say, already had this thing with Lawson where I think when you watch it on board, he has a slight lift when he's charging the rotary up, and I wonder if that maybe caused it to happen, where he's just accidentally maybe lifted off, and then it's kind of like he's lost the momentum of what he's kind of built, and then the lights have gone out, and it's just not gone anywhere. But Colapinto, wow, what cat-like reactions from him, GP, to somehow, without seeing the car, by the way, in front of him. There was a car in front of him, so Lawson's car just appears out of nowhere, and he just quick reactions, just switches it to the other side, avoids the wall as well, because he could have also just smashed into the pit wall on his right-hand side, and came away unscathed by some kind of minor miracle. What did you make of that, GP?
Yeah, that was a shocking start by both Lawson and Colapinto. But I do want to point out that I think the slightly wrong. I don't know if it's my issue or I feel like there's something wrong with starting line because
Oh, they were
the
really quick. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
they're
they
really
were.
quick. Like
Really,
the last one just like like for
Is there
like
for like a millisecond.
yeah, a millisecond and away we go. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm not like oh like I'm not even ready when I was watching the TV. So it was pretty active, but yeah.
Oh, I didn't mind
I
it.
think
I was like, make it even more chaotic. Like they knew what they were
yeah
doing there. They knew exactly what they were doing. They were like, oh, everyone's waiting for this star. They want to see how good everyone is. Let's just make this the quickest lights out ever. And it was.
yeah.
It was
Let's just play
literally
everyone.
it goes fourth red light, and then the fifth comes on for literally like a fraction of a second,
I
and then they all
didn't
go
see the
out.
light. Actually, I didn't see the fifth light. I was
Yeah.
actually wondering, did it
I
glitch?
was yeah. But I was like drinking my drinks. Oh, away we go. So yeah,
Exactly. And I think that was the same for like so many people. And you know what? I didn't
yeah,
mind it. It was like, just caused a bit more
yeah. It
chaos.
was fun. Yeah,
But
yeah.
I tell you though,
But
guys, it benefited the Ferraris. The Ferraris were so good at the start of that race. We kind of had a feeling about that anyway, and there was a bit of talk that Ferrari were going to be really quick at the start, and it absolutely delivered. I mean, even Lewis was not far off at the very, very front into the first corner, considering how far back he started. But obviously, Charles Leclerc did take the lead. And you know what? I quite like it. I quite like this real variation in starts. As long as it stays safe and no one gets, some awful crash from stalling. I mean, it makes the starts really exciting because you actually don't know what's going to happen. If someone wants to go in
yeah,
on
I
that.
think the start. Like
Well,
I think that's not a lighting issue, right? Right, Mo. I don't think it's a lighting issue. It's Ferrari being quick. Like you know, they obviously got smaller turbos than everyone else, basically. So you see, I think Oliver also have a good start. Lewis have a good, not a
Mm.
good initial launch, but like his way to turn three is absolutely diabolical. Um, who's the other hazard? I kind of like he got a bad start, but because of his car, it looks mid. So we already know that Ferrari has a good. I think it's just a smaller turbo stuff, but
I mean,
obviously people are trying. Yeah, yeah, you can say. Yeah, you can say.
I mean, talking about starts, Hatcher also had a very good launch of the line in the first, but the car just dropped back at the end. The car suddenly, it looked like the battery just got out, and suddenly he dropped back a lot. But he had the best start of top four
Yeah.
in the first. And but I don't know. Maybe he already had the problem at the start, or it's just that the Red Bull is very quick in the beginning, but when to 200 kilometers per hour is much slower. I don't know, but it looked very weird because I thought Hatcher would have taken the start with ease when I saw that. So
Yeah. Well, this is the thing because the two Mercedes were, I actually think, bar Lawson, I think they actually had the worst start. They had so much wheel spin. I mean, Antonelli absolutely lit up the rear tires and was kind of sliding away off the line. And I think George said after the race, they both had 0% battery as they lined up on the grid, and they knew they were in trouble, which I can't blame them. I mean, if I saw that and I was one of the drivers, I would have been panicking of like, oh no, what was going to happen if I saw there was 0% on the steering wheel. And it proved to be. So I'm kind of excited to see what happens, particularly with the sprint race this weekend. Are we going to have the same thing again? Are we going to have that crazy start where some of the teams and drivers are caught out? I hope we do, because then it really provides another element that the teams will have to get sorted. It means Mercedes aren't perfectly bulletproof, and they have a bit of a weakness. And yeah, it could be a fascinating thing. We're going to wrap up, though, on Australia now with some of the other drivers that I think deserve a bit of a mention for the results. We've talked about the front runners. Ollie Behrman had a great finish in P7. I thought he had a great drive as well, continuing his kind of good form in F1 in general to get that 7th place for Haas. We said about Arvid Lindblad, but how about Gabriel Bortoleto scoring the first ever points for Audi in Formula 1? I thought Audi was completely slept on this weekend, by the way, Mo, and hardly anyone mentioned them. And even us, we've took ages to mention them in this podcast, but they've got points on debut.
yeah, it surprised me because in the testing days they were like close with Cadillac in the preseason testing. I didn't expect Audi to actually be this good because Hulkenberg was actually P11, but I don't know why. But he didn't make the grid. But maybe if he did start, he also could have gone to maybe P9, P10 or so, or stayed at P11. But I actually want to talk about it. Like with new engines, Audi definitely made a good progress considering last season they were also on the go when they were sober, and now they are continuing that form with the Audi engine. So, yeah, I was very surprised to actually see Audi up the midfield pack, but I actually think if Gary was a bit closer to Lindblad and Ocon, then he could have overtaken them. But yeah, I don't know why he lost so much time, but I definitely think he could have overtaken them if he was closer.
Oh, I'm well and truly an Audi fan this season. I want to see that team do well. I think I want to see, a new team come in the sport and do a good job. And I know it's Audi, and it's the might of that, super successful team across all motorsports almost. But I think it's good for the sport if a team like that can come in and be competitive, and they've scored points on debut. I know a lot of that is still the kind of team that was Sauber last season, but JP, I think they were very unlucky with Hulkenberg going out before the race even started. Really, is this does this mean that they are? I mean, what are we saying here? Are they ahead of your Alpines, and are they in the mix with maybe Haas, or is it a bit too early to say?
Uh, from Australia, I'll definitely say they're faster than Alpine because
Mm.
basically Gasly is the upper limit of Alpine at this point. Like, yeah, Cole Pinto can maybe show up some weekend, but he won't be like significantly faster than Gasly, obviously. But if Gasly still need to fight a lot with the slow out pass all the time, which is right now Ocon. obviously they're slow, way slower than Haas, and obviously they're slower than Audi. So yeah, but I do think Audi, if they put up their package correctly, they can give some pressure to Haas. Yeah.
It'd be good to see.
Well,
Go.
about Alpine. It's actually very surprising that the first season with a new engine, the Merc engine, instead of their own engine, is actually a bit surprised, and they actually got points with the new engine. So Alpine already talked about that when they maybe have a better engine, they can easily develop the car a bit more instead of the with a Renault engine. And I think with a P10 finish, it will be very interesting if they can upgrade the car more to actually be more at the front, because the Merc engine doesn't have the deceleration like the Renault engine always had when hitting a specific straight, like at Spa, it dropped back at the end. So and they had to use his ERS to actually gain the speed back. But this time, the Merc engine actually keeps more of that speed and is easy to develop. So I think Alpine will be also one to watch this season.
Well, I think I'm pretty sure I saw a stat that F1 posted that Alpine was the quickest car in terms of top speed at Melbourne, and I think part of that is to do with they've got a bit of a different way of doing it with their rear wing, where the entire wing goes down. So then they've got a different kind of thing to what most teams have, where it's that kind of split, if you like DRS kind of used to be. So yeah, I think Alpine will be one to watch, and I think in the hands of Gasly, that they've got a good driver there to be able to have them fighting strong in the midfield. Williams really struggled, to be honest, and that's another team that Alpine can really make some hay at the minute whilst the sun shines, and kind of gain some points over them in the constructors battle, because I think there's going to be a bit of a tussle between some of those teams in that big scrap in the middle. Cadillac were miles off. Sergio Perez got lapped 3 times. Valtteri Bottas had to retire in the end. They're a new team on the grid. We're going to have to give them a bit of time here to get a bit of pace going and build themselves up, to get closer, if you like, to some of the other teams. That's why they've got such an experienced lineup, because that's going to be a bit of a journey for those those 2 drivers at that team. We obviously had the other retirements like we've mentioned earlier on. But the other team I wanted a word on here before we move on to our China predictions is Aston Martin. So Stroll technically was classified in the end. I can see you laughing, Mo, already. And that just shows the state of Aston Martin. It's a laughing matter at the minute for everyone else. It's not a laughing matter for them, that is for sure. But Stroll actually had to take a break mid-race, probably went and grabbed a quick coffee whilst they sorted the car out, and then went back out again. And so too did Fernando Alonso, would you believe it? He had a similar thing where we thought he was all out of the race, and then, what the heck is that coming out the pit lane? Another Aston Martin. Alonso rejoins the race. I've never seen it before where cars are rejoining the race 10, 15 laps down. But I guess this is what they've got to do, Mo. This is what they've got to do if they're going to get that car better. They've got to get the laps in somehow.
Didn't they have with Perez in 2023 at the Japanese Grand Prix?
I think you're probably right.
Yeah, that was for penalty, I remember. Because otherwise,
to get rid of a penalty,
yeah.
20 laps he joined, I think. After.
See, I'm getting old, guys. The memory's fading.
No, but talking about tussles, I think Lawson and Perez are still not.
Get your popcorn ready for that. It was great.
And they were not playing Formula 1. They were more playing bumper cars or something. Yeah. It was very enjoyable to watch. I wish it was live at the moment. But, boy, I think there will be a time when they will see each other in the pit. And they are probably each other to the ground.
Get the boxing gloves out. Get a scrap going. Screw these YouTuber fights. We want to see Lawson against Perez, because them two at the minute absolutely hate each other. Almost more than Gasly and Ocon. Because, to be honest, they had their own scrap once again in this race. It just seemed like a race of just reigniting old rivalries. But yes, I did enjoy that Lawson-Perez scrap because they were banging tires, weren't they, Mo?
Yeah, they were banging tires. I think after the fast left and right hander, they hit each other in the braking zone, and they both call out to team towards each other. So it will be a bit feisty this season between them if this doesn't get any better. But talking about Cadillac, you said they need more time to actually try to understand how to develop the car. But you have to consider they want to build their own engines in
Yes.
2027 or 2028, I think. I don't know for
27.
sure. Yeah, 2027. And they're just new and they have this kind of a car. Why now start trying to build your own engine while you're not even competitive? You first have to try to understand why this car is so slow and then move from that on. And then when you know how to actually develop and upgrade a car, then try to start make your own engine. I think it's too early for them to actually to consider building their own engine since they're completely new to this sport.
And this is the thing, they are completely new. Audi have came in, but let's be real, they had the kind of Sauber, handover, if you like, to kind of take on from them. And other teams before have also had that, where they've joined the sport in much stabler kind of regulations. Even when Haas joined back in 2016, it was a much more stabler time to jump into F1. In my opinion, but then now it's like a huge task for Cadillac to even just get a car on the grid. And yeah, I think you're right. They kind of do need to focus on the bigger picture here of making sure the car is actually competitive, because at the minute, I mean, they were like 4 seconds off per lap, by the way, at some points. I mean, that is quite a big gap.
Yeah, it is a big gap, and it's too early then to say to actually try to make your engine while you're that far off the pace. Because as we saw in the pre-season testing, the car is more made to actually try to hurt the drivers than actually try to keep them on the track. Because we also saw in the practice session that the weird moment in turn three with Checo that he lost the rear. It's basically what the same that happened to Max. But yeah, I it's actually a good thing that they have two very experienced drivers on the wheel, so they can actually try to see what's wrong with the car and try to improve them. But I think it's way too early to actually consider building your own engine. I think you should at least try to actually be close to actually score points, because at the moment they don't have any chance compared to anyone else. Because even though the Aston Martin is one of the worst car, if not the worst car, it's still a lot quicker than the Cadillac.
That's an interesting point, JP. When do you think, I think that's the interesting thing that we noticed in qualifying as well. That there is pace in that car, in the Aston. I mean, how long do you think this will take until they can really start being competitive and not have these kind of almost laughable races where they're having to
But
get
you
back in the
mean
car?
being competitive? You mean being competitive? It's like being
Midfield.
in a solid midfield or like being finishing races. That's a big difference. So,
But they technically did. They technically finished the race. They were just 15
yeah,
laps
but
down.
finish like every lap. Like if they finish every lap. Obviously, I do think they are faster than Cadillac, and I honestly think if they push hard enough, they can faster than Alpine.
Ooh.
The
In
Williams.
low engine use circuits. I mean, or something like Monaco or something. You know what I mean? Yeah. They can beat Lawson, like on current form. They can beat Lawson because
Paulie
he's not
Lawson.
doing well. Yeah, but anyone else is still a bit of a struggle. But you'd expect something from Fernando, do you? So
Give
don't
me
you?
a
What
race.
Yeah.
Give me a race. When do
Aston
you think they'll get it sorted, JP? When do you think they'll get it sorted?
At least Monaco or
Monaco. It's
Canada.
months away.
Yeah, it's around May. But the thing is, we got 2 races shorter. We still have to remember that. So they got basically 2.
Well, we think that's going to be cancelled. There's no official announcement
Yeah,
yet.
we
Just
think
putting
that will
out
be
there.
cancelled, but if it's going to be cancelled, they will have 1 more month for them just to make the car more reliable, which is, to be honest, not that hard. Like, it's not making a fast car reliable is easier than making a reliable car fast. We always know
That's
right?
true. You tell Honda
Like,
that at the minute.
yeah,
I mean,
but
what I saw from Aston Martin, like Alonso had a beast start. I mean, he was P11 after lap
Yeah.
1, I think.
It's flying.
So if they can manage to upgrade the car more and actually be good at those starts, they can get such a good start at Monaco and be like,
There we go.
maybe P10, and they can hold that for the whole race because I think still, even with these new rules that you can like use the mushroom to try to overtake them,
Yes.
but I think Alonso is smart enough to actually deploy those because as I said, it's Alonso. It's not Stroll that is gonna hit the barrier under pressure.
Exactly. Yeah, a bit more mushroom tactics from Aston Martin, and who knows, they could find themselves, excuse me, near at the front. But we'll find out, and we'll find out this weekend actually, if they are able to take any more steps of improvement, because we have indeed got the Chinese Grand Prix. I'll go to you first on about China, JP, because you have been to this circuit yourself, being from China. You've been to the Chinese Grand Prix a couple of times. How was it? Tell the listeners, and would you recommend it to anyone?
well, definitely recommend it to everyone
Yes.
because I'm being very lucky. I sit on the main straight in 2016, which Danica Villa and Kimi and Vettel crashed.
Oh wow.
And I sit on the grass on the last corner on the inside in 2024. At which point you can see the back straight because it's a hill, and I literally just saw color signs sideways in front of me and towards the barrier. So like it was a like me and my friends were also there. So like we were chilling and it was like a cozy Saturday afternoon qualifying, sun glaze on you. You're gonna take a nap. Suddenly a Ferrari going sideways in front of you, creating this. Oh shit, what's going on? And everyone just said. So I was there like just go, like it was fun, like, and also the vibe is good, and the transportation is, I would say, much more convenient than some races in Europe. So yeah, I would recommend it.
Well, there you go. There you go. They might be sending a check in the post for recommending the race to some more worldwide people. But I think you know what? Obviously, this not had the greatest of races for the past couple of years. I think since we've returned to China, it has been a little bit iffy. But do you like it, Mo? Do you think it's a bit of an underrated circuit, or are you thinking of a different view? And do you think it doesn't deserve to be on the calendar?
No, I think it deserves to be on the calendar. It's a fun track with different kind of corners, like Turn One. Is I like that it's you can actually try to overtake around the outside. I think it's very ballsy and very awesome to see that. And also with this other section, when you have more grip, like Lewis showed in 2024, you can actually overtake in spots you don't expect it. And also, I'm very looking forward to actually see these new cars on the circuit with the new energy deployment because it's such a long back straight in sector 3. So what I am gonna predict, what we're gonna see is that one at the beginning, one uses them, and then they're out of battery, and then they re-overtake them on the same straight.
Yes.
I think be switching like 2 times on the same straight because it's such a long straight compared to Australia
It
with
can
a heavy
chaos.
brake. So you can actually try to overtake there instead of risking crashing in such a fast corner like the one in Australia.
Yeah, and this is the thing. It's going to be such a different race. I've got a feeling because it is such a different type of circuit. And I think it's good that we go to tracks like this as well. Even just for the point of where it is, it's great to go to different countries of such different cultures as well. It's a world championship. You need to go to these different kind of parts of the world, and that's why I hope Japan's also always on the calendar, because these races are so good, in the kind of Far East, where it's got such a different feel about it. I always used to like it when F1 went to Malaysia, for example. I thought that was a great circuit and also a great kind of country for them to take F1. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this weekend. And it's going to be fascinating to see what's going to happen. Obviously, Lewis Hamilton won the sprint race last year, and everyone was all kind of up in arms and thinking, this is it. This is the beginning of the Hamilton-Ferrari era. That obviously didn't end up the case. But Oscar Piastri did win the race on the Sunday, and it was a bit of a McLaren domination with George Russell also kind of in the mix as well, and a distant third. So let's get into some predictions then, guys. It's safe to say, I think most of us got it all wrong for Australia, because I think most of us said Leclerc win, actually. Apart from you,
Lando.
JP. You said Lando.
Yeah.
So I think that, no disrespect, I think that's even worse. So let's hope. I think we've got a better idea now for this week. So yeah. Since you've dived in on this podcast, Mo, I'm going to start with you. Can I please have your pole position prediction for the 2026 Chinese Grand Prix?
Lewis Hamilton.
We are starting strong. We are starting strong here. Go on, explain yourself.
Lewis definitely showed last race in that he is very quick with the car. And he also, because he closed up to Leclerc at the end, and I think this is more a Ferrari type like circuit, because with the small turbos, you actually have some corners where you actually need the turbo to actually try to push you out of the corner. So I actually think this is a circuit where the Ferrari can perform really well compared to the Merc. And I know Charles qualified Lewis last race, but Lewis is a former race winner around this track many more times, and he also outqualified Leclerc last season. And I think Antonelli will just screw up the lap again, like he did most of the time. And I think Ferrari will be very quick in quali. So I won't be surprised if Lewis ends up on pole after the sprint. But
Okay.
I think it will be Lewis Hamilton. And in terms of second place, I'm going for.
Whoa! Hold your horses. We'll get to that. We'll take turns on the pole prediction first. Oh, you're jumping ahead here. We'll get to the podium in a moment. You almost spoilt it for us. But I'll head to you, JP, now for your pole prediction. Actually, so we've got Hamilton from Mo. Who is going to get pole for yourself?
Hang on. I'm gonna Google the result last year, and I'm gonna give you an answer.
No way!
Yeah,
You can't leave us hanging like that. There's no way. No way.
Hang on. 1 second.
Top 5.
They were different cars.
I know. Don't worry. Just
Ferraris,
leave it to me.
5 and 6, but they qualified. So
I will say George Russell.
After all that, you Googled the result and everything, and you still said George Russell. I could have told you that, and I didn't even need to watch the whole of last year.
Why are you lost?
Because I was seeing where Kimi is last season, so I need to see the gaps. Basically, it was that.
Honestly, you gave me all that build-up. I was thinking, what could this be? Could this be a McLaren or a Red Bull on pole? Friggin' George Russell, who was on pole by like 6/10 in Australia. I mean, for crying out loud. I mean, I'm going to say the same anyway. I'm going to say George Russell as well. So I'm just as boring. So yeah, I think that mark is just a little bit too quick. I really hear your argument, Mo, and I think it was very well put and very convincing as well. You almost had me, but I am going to go with George Russell for pole position to make it back-to-back poles for Mercedes. Right, Mo, you've waited patiently. Could I now have your third, second, and then first for the Chinese Grand Prix?
P3, Charles Leclerc. P2, Lewis Hamilton. P1, Russell.
Okay.
Merc is. I know the Ferrari is good with these kind of core with the low turbo, but I still think the Merc is way too fast to actually be kept behind. So I think if Russell will get through the field very easily if he starts a little back.
Interesting. I mean, I kind of see it. I see it. That for me could very easily have been the result in Australia if Antonelli didn't also pit under the VSC. But no, that's a very credible first prediction from you, Mo. GP, do I need to brace myself here for the shock and horror of some wild prediction, or are we keeping this sensible here?
I'm saying P3.
Yeah.
Isaac Hadjar.
Okay. I'm not prepared for the rest. I'm not prepared at all.
I'm P2 Oscar Piastri.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
P1 Timmy Antonelli.
Oh, fuck no. No. Head in front of Max, for fuck's sake.
I feel like one of the Mercedes will have an engine issue. Like, you know.
And why specifically Russell?
Because he's not the favorite. He's not Toto's favorite kid.
But what?
There's no other reason. No other reason. Yeah.
Why?
He's just not.
Max. I just want to know, why do you think Hedgehog will be in front of Max?
Maxwell has car broken.
Oh, that's actually a good reason. Did we also do predictions, by the way? Sprint?
Screw the sprint. That could be anyone's, that one. Oh, well, we need to make this, a podcast within the time limit.
Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah. I could have told you that one before.
Yeah.
Okay, so your prediction, JP, was Isaac Hadjar third, Piastri second, and Antonelli to win the Chinese Grand Prix. No Ferraris, no George Russell, no Max Verstappen on the podium. That is a bold prediction, if I say so myself. I'm bringing this back down to earth a little bit. I'm going to go with Lewis Hamilton in third, George Russell in second, and then I can see you looking, Mo. Charles Leclerc to win the Chinese Grand Prix. The Ferrari hype train is grabbing me
Ferrari
here.
hype train.
I know. But what can I say? I think you're right. I liked Mo's explanation there of why the Ferrari would be quick, and I kind of agree. I kind of agree with it. And over a race, they were close in Australia. China should suit them better, so maybe a win could be on the cards. What do you make? What do you make of it?
I mean, like what we saw with Charles in Australia, he's very smart with the ERS deployment. And I think that will be crucial if the Ferrari does get an insane launch once again. Because if Leclerc does this trick again, then it will be very hard for Russell to overtake him if he is faster than him.
Yes.
So I think, I can relate that Charles could be a potential winner for the race. And that's why was putting Lewis second. But it was a close though, because I was guessing between Russell and Lewis, but I just think more Russell if he gets past them. But as we saw, the Ferrari is very smart with ERS management.
JP, any thoughts on a Charles Leclerc victory?
Ferrari hype train. totally Ferrari hype.
Yeah, but Hamilton's third. It's not like I've gone for a Ferrari 1-2.
Like it will be like setting second behind third. I mean, it's a third, but it's
Oh, that's actually interesting then. Forget all the top four teams. The midfield cars. How far will be back from the top four? You think? Because I think last race, all the back teams were lapped,
I think it'll happen again.
and I think with much big, because
Yeah.
this track is much easier for the faster cars to actually be faster.
Yeah.
So I think it will be possible that even the top 12 can be put on 2 laps, maybe.
Yeah, no, I think it'll be really rough for some of those teams, and because I also think some of them will be stretching it with the parts that they've got. Some teams have already said they've only got like a couple of batteries left. I think Aston Martin is that team. So yeah, I think it could be really a bit of a struggle for some of them, because as well, I think tires will be much more of a thing at China, as it has been for the last few years, and yeah, I fear for a team like Cadillac. I really do. Like, I think they could they get lapped 5 times on pure pace? I mean, eek.
4.
4?
I'll say 4.
You're saying
Trust
4?
me.
I'm saying 4. Oh, not 5. There will be safety car anyway, so
This will have a shit pit stop once again.
Yeah, exactly. Right, we're going to wrap it up there, guys, because I think we've covered absolutely everything on this episode of the TFR pod. So thank you to both of you for joining me on this week's episode. If you've enjoyed this episode of the TFR podcast, you can give it a follow on your audio platform of choice. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can obviously subscribe to the channel. We'll be back next week for our Chinese Grand Prix review, and we'll see who has won the second round of the season. And then we'll start to look ahead to the Japanese Grand Prix for when that comes back around in a few weeks' time after China. It's going to be interesting, though. 2 weeks' time. Yes, 2 weeks' time. It's going to be interesting, though, what will happen in Shanghai this weekend and what's going to happen with these cars. Are we going to see cars slowing down the back straight? There's so many questions, with a sprint race as well just thrown in just to spice up the action. I can't wait for it. I hope everyone else is looking forward to it, and we'll see you in the next one.